I think the best actor in Canada, and certainly the most joy I've ever had working with an actor in my life, Rebecca Jenkins, who played Diane Polley. Also the only person in the world who can make it not awkward to play your dead mother. Really impressive work. No worries. Our cinematographer, the brilliant Iris Ng. Anita Lee, our producer, our amazing producer from IFC. My dad, Michael Polley. Is there anybody that's here from the film that I'm missing that I can bring up here? Can you just raise your hand if you're here and you worked on the film? Did I get everybody? Okay, I think that's it. Come up if I didn't see you. Okay, any questions for, hello? Any questions for any of us? Right there, with the friend. Hi.
In the film you addressed your ambivalence about making your experience public, but I sort of felt like towards the end there was a bit of a gap about what motivated you to make it so public, from its transition to the people who knew about it and anyone else, like the reporter who might make it public. So can you talk a little bit about what brought you to, this?
Sure. So the question is where the gap between my reluctance to have the story be public and then obviously making it very public and what motivated it. I guess, I mean, it's hard to know what would have happened if that reporter hadn't heard the story and called me. That actually isn't a recreation, by the way. That's a real photograph that happened to be taken of me checking my Palm Pilot in Neanderthal garb. The stills photographer just found it very funny to see me stressed on a Palm Pilot and took a picture. So that's like the actual moment where I was getting emails that someone had heard the story. So I don't know what would have happened if that threat had been there, which is in a way an unfortunate beginning. But then I think what motivated it was, my dad's writing was so extraordinary, like in terms of him trying to make sense of it all, and it was so exciting for me that he was finally writing, because I sort of took over where my mom left off when I was 11, trying to get him to write, and that was really thrilling. And then, Harry was also, I had asked him to, write his story, and then, so many people were sort of, interested in telling the story, and it sort of seemed like what got me interested in making a film about it was this sort of desperation around ownership and wanting to tell the story, and the fact that because we were telling the story itself was changing. So, Harry and I had disagreements because we were telling the story. And we had to sort of work those out. And my dad and I got closer because we were telling the story. And the relationships themselves that the story was about were fundamentally changing because of the fact that there was a narrative being told. And that seemed to me really worth making a film about. And I also felt like enough people wanted to tell it that I just wanted to make sure it was told in a context where at least part of everyone's version was in there. So yeah. I'm still not sure why I made the film. I mean, you can see me puzzling through it there. It's been really exciting to share it with audiences, but I would say the last 5 years, the majority has been regret of ever having started it. So I'm not entirely sure what the answer to your question is, but it seems to be going okay right now.
Thanks, Sarah. I think there was another hand over here, right there.
You just answered both my questions, so I'm desperately trying to think of a new question. And I guess my other question is about the use of drama, the use of fiction to tell a truth. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. So it was about the use of fiction to tell a truth.
Because I was watching that whole film thinking, oh my God, isn't it great that she had a dad who took so many Jenkins until you reveal that in the film. Like I was completely convinced that was our pilot. So I have more questions about process.
Sure. So my dad did take tons of Super 8 movies. And it was funny because, when Iris and I first started shooting, we were trying to emulate the way a dad would take Super 8 movies. And we had to toss all that stuff out because, we were trying to, not do a very good job. And then we looked at his actual footage and we realized, his, hands and his stilts are, so smooth. So all of a sudden we were like, oh, God, Iris, you actually have to do your best to match this. We can't, pretend to be somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. So I don't know what the ratio is. I don't know if anyone does. Is it 50% recreated and 50% real, or?
It's a little more than 50% recreated.
Okay, more than 50% recreated, but there was a lot of stuff for us to work with, and then it was a matter of sort of emulating that. I didn't know that it would trick people so well for so long. I was really shocked by that. I think some people twigged to it early, but I was expecting, what we wanted to do was make it very accurate so that people were sometimes wondering what was recreated and what was real. The intention wasn't to completely trick people, but unfortunately I got really talented people to work with who sold it in a way that wasn't intentional. So, Rebecca spent, weeks with the footage and working on the body language, and, Iris spent probably tested every Super 8 camera in Toronto and digging through people's basements and, with this exhaustive process to match it. And we had an amazing production designer, Leah Carlson, Sarah Armstrong, costume designer, our hair and makeup team, Sarah Craig and Josie Stewart. They all just did way too good a job. So it made me seem smarter, which was nice.
Question over there.
Do you ever wonder if your mom thought about telling you this, and do you have any feelings that you wish she had, or anger, or it's just so it's made it a real discovery? And do you think she ever thought about revealing it, or that she was tortured over?
I asked a lot of her friends that, and I got very different answers. I have no idea. I have a feeling if it hadn't come up, she probably wouldn't have. I certainly don't feel any anger about her not telling me. I have a family I'm so grateful to be a part of, and I'm really glad that until I was an adult, everyone protected me and I was able to just be part of this amazing family without any questions around it. And so by the time I was an adult, in a way, by the time you're an adult, your family's who your family is. And then it's sort of interesting as opposed to pivotal in terms of identity. So it was great for me, I think, that it was kept from me. And I have to also thank Harry for that. I have to thank him for honoring that with my family and not intruding on that until I found him. So I'm glad we didn't know, and now I think it's fine that we do know. I think that everybody was old enough and enough time had passed that, it didn't deliver the trauma it could have at an earlier age.
There's a question right over there.
First of all, I want to thank you for a wonderful film.
Thank you.
I did wonder sometimes, did everybody in the film have veto power that they could say, no, don't put that in? Or was that completely your choice?
So the question is, did everyone in the film have veto power to say, I don't want that in the film, or were all the choices yours?
So I had a harrowing week and a half where every day of a week and a half, about a year ago, I showed it to everyone individually, all my immediate family members individually, including, Kathy and Harry and all my siblings and my dad, and then talked to them afterwards. So I guess I wanted to know, is there anything hurtful in here? Is there anything that's going to upset you? Is there anything you're horrified by? Not that I'll take it out, but we should talk about it. But as it turned out, nobody had regretted anything they said. And I think we were pretty painstaking, Mike and I, in terms of not taking people out of context and trying to be as ethical as we could be, given the relationships. But people had notes, really good notes, and helpful notes. So I don't think everyone's thrilled by everything that's in the film, but everybody was heard and nobody objected, I would say, even if they were nervous or had reservations about it. So I think that everyone who's in the film, hopefully, I think everyone who's in the film is okay with the film, whether they agree with, how it's made or not. So.